Howdy, my name is Jim Bob. Me and my family recently moved to Cactusville. We're still getting used to all the people here. We used to live in a place called Skunk Junction. It was real pretty there, but it always smelled kind of funny. That woman reading the Bible there, that's my ma. Her name is Ma, or at least that's what we call her. And that little guy there, well, that's my brother. His name is Joe Bob. We also have a pa, but he's away on business a lot. Right now, Ma is reading the Bible to us. She's reading about Jesus' cousin, John the Baptist. The Bible says that John was called to be different. When Ma told us how he ate locusts and wore clothing made out of camel hair, we thought that sounded pretty disgusting. We ended our worship that morning by repeating Ma's favorite Bible verse. It's 2 Timothy 1:9, and it says, God has saved us and called us to a holy calling. After worship, Joe Bob and I went out to play. We were discussing what Ma had taught us during worship. How just like John the Baptist, we were also called to be different. We weren't exactly sure how to do that, but we figured that we could give it a try. After all, Joe Bob had been told that he was different. Real different. So after a few minutes of discussing things, we had a plan. Joe Bob and I talked with Ma and explained how we were answering the call to be different. We explained how we were going to live in the wild, just like John the Baptist. We didn't have any locusts to eat or camel hair clothes to wear, but we found some things that would help us be different. So we headed off so that we could be different. Joe Bob and I finally had our camp set up. We were discussing the next step in being different when Maggie Lou showed up. She's one of our good friends that we met right after we moved to Cactusville. Maggie Lou asked us what we were doing. I explained how we were trying to be like John the Baptist. Even though we didn't have camel hair clothes or locusts to eat, we still wanted to answer God's call to us. Mary Lou told us that John the Baptist was also called a voice crying in the wilderness. Maybe part of being different involved crying. Joe Bob says that he knew where a beehive was. If we went there and bothered the bees, they would sting us and we would surely cry. Joe Bob and I returned home that night very discouraged. We had tried to be different like God had called us to be, but it hadn't worked out. Ma sat us down at the table and pulled out the Bible. She read 2 Timothy 1:9 to us. God has saved us and called us to a holy calling. She explained to us what that means to be called to be different. It doesn't mean that you can't live in a house or that you have to eat locusts. It means that you should live like Jesus did. Follow God's plan every day for your life. Jesus was kind, and he looked for opportunities to help other people. Suddenly, Ma noticed Joe Bob had a sad look on his face. "What's the matter?" Ma asked. I told Ma I think Joe Bob wished that he would have known that sooner so that he didn't have to eat bugs to be different. And everyone laughed. The next day, Joe Bob and I started to live differently, the way that God called us to be. We looked for people who needed our help. Sometimes it was Ma at home. Other times God provided people for us to help around town. You know, if you decide to live differently for God, it feels pretty good.